Hello and welcome to another Quiarcus Unboxes. This time we're having a look at this rather splendid game, Warhammer 40,000 Forbidden Stars, by our friends at Fantasy Flight Games. If you're not familiar with the game, it's a galactic conquest game, similar to things like Twilight Imperium, and it's for between 2 and 4 players, so should prove a little easier to get to the table than TI can be. So we've got all this lovely cellophane that we need to get rid of, so I'm going to pop it up on the side. As you can see, huge box again, fantastic production values from Fantasy Flight as ever, and they've moved away from their tombstone, there we go, their coffin boxes that they used to do, and this new format actually makes it a lot easier to put these things on the shelf. So I'm going to strip off the cellophane, put this back down on the side, and then we'll have, there we go, we'll have a look inside and see what wonderful things await us. Right, so here's the contents, let's have a look. As usual, a little catalogue, Imperial Assault, another good game there. And here we've got the first of 2 books. This is the Learn to Play book. This is the new sort of format that Fantasy Flight have been up to recently. They put the very basic rules that you need to get started in one book. You can just flick through and read in an evening. And then they put the main rules and all the small details in the reference book. Got some glorious artwork on the front there. The Chaos Terminator by the looks of it. Beautiful production values as ever. And yeah, you can see all sorts of different rules to peruse. And we've got these, let's try and get zoomed out a bit, these are quite big, these cards. Sort of Empire cards here. You've got one for each faction. There are 4 in total in the game. These are of course the Space Marines, and we've got some special rules there, and unit costs and dice. We'll have a look at those in a minute. And then we've got our lovely production quality components. We've got these, look like the resource counters, got a turn counter, some objectives perhaps, first player token, have a look at these later, warp storms, and on the back, yep, more command tokens, there we go, along with, I think these are ownership tiles, it looks like it, and then there's the meat of it. You've got these wonderful bags full of FFG miniatures that we'll have a look at shortly. Doesn't look like any damage on these are the Eldar, these yellow ones. They've got the Forces of Chaos. We'll have a closer look at these, as I said, in a sec. We've got the Orcs. Finally, of course, the Space Marines. And just from the weight of the bag, these are pretty hefty models. Can't wait to see what they look like. Got some, these must be stands for the spaceships. Bag of dice, and as usual these are custom dice. Got some bolters there, some shields, and the Imperial Aquila, Imperial Eagle. Got a deck of cards. I don't know which ones these are. They could be perhaps the upgrade cards, maybe. We'll have a look at those in a minute as well. Some more cards, Empire specific. I think these are the combat cards, I think. And we've got more miniatures, good lord. And these seem to be buildings of various kinds. Yeah, have a good look at those in a minute as well. And then finally in the box, oh, pre-cut. It's always nice of them to do. These are map tiles, and they are double-sided. So you've got quite a few options there for building up your own empires. So, I'm just going to open up some of the things, glorious artwork there, and we'll have a closer look in a minute. Okay, so we're just going to take a quick look at the different factions and some of the different miniatures here. Start off with these wonderful looking buildings that we have. Just try and get this to focus. You can see this is one of the hive cities, and these kind of dictate what technology you have access to. If you see on the side here, we've got 0, 1, 2, 3, and the number of hive cities you have dictates what you can build. So with 0, we could build perhaps scouts and strike cruisers, but all the way up at number 3, we're building warlord titans. So these guys are going to be kind of important. We've got factories, not sure what they do yet. I'm assuming it's something to do with production. I guess would be that you can only produce units in a zone that has one of these fellas in place. And you can see that we build these at factories, we need material to build these in a zone. And finally, we've got these little bastions. This looks like a miniature version of the Warhammer 40,000 model you can get. And these will actually help you defend a sector, or a tile, from invasion. So, those are the basic models, those are the sort of the standard ones. And now, arrayed on my project table, you can see the Ultramarines in all their glory. I'll have a look at those in a sec, but we're going to start off with looking at their race card. So each card has a piece of glorious artwork, and this is taken directly from Warhammer 40,000. Just try and get it to focus. You can see each race has a unique ability, a space for objective tokens, and this unit card that tells you about all of your different units, their offensive power, their defensive power, and their morale. Not entirely sure what all those do yet, I haven't played the game, but I'll come back with another video perhaps and do a little learn to play on it. You can see that we've got at the very top here scouts and strike cruisers. Scouts being this tiny little banner here, which doesn't look like much, does it? And our strike cruisers. Let's have a look at these, because these miniatures are absolutely gorgeous. A little bit of misalignment on some of the mouldings, but I mean, I would be happy if they would bring back Battlefleet Gothic and had these production values. I think I'd be pretty chuffed. Here's the strike cruiser. And then up we have another ground troop, Space Marines, and the Land Raiders. Space Marines being represented by this kind of little bastion with a slightly more elaborate banner pole. And the Land Raiders being these giant tanks here, sort of very World War I looking contraptions, heavily armoured. And to see the detail on these are quite remarkable. It feels very much like the old Epic game, or Space Marine as it used to be known. Very good detail, very crisp, nice. A few little marks and mould lines here and there that will have to be filed off, but nothing too major. And our battle barge. Again, pretty good replica of the Battlefleet Gothic model. If you don't know what Battlefleet Gothic is, it was a game produced by Games Workshop, who are the makers of the Warhammer 40,000 universe, and it was all about spaceship combat, and it was actually a lot of fun. Every little time consuming to play. And then finally, we've got, at the end here, the Warlord Titans. Big old walking weapon of death. Kind of like a giant mech, but more angry. So those are the miniatures. You get a different number of miniatures for each faction. I'll have a look at the others later. I won't go through all the cards. You can see you've got various different cards for each faction. So you've got some event cards here. These are order upgrades. These are combat cards. Again, you can just see the quality of the production artwork lifted out of the 40k universe. I don't know if any of it's being commissioned newly. and then order reference card for the various different orders that you can perform each turn. So, there's the Ultramarines in their glory. We'll have a look at their Dark Kin next. Okay, so next up are the Forces of Chaos. And you can see we've got some cultist banners here. More than we had scouts for the Ultramarines. We've got some sort of banners representing the Forces of the Chaos Space Marines. We've got some Dreadnoughts. Let's give you a better look at these guys. That look pretty similar. I don't know if I can get it to focus properly. There we go. Pretty similar to the actual 40k compatriots, whom I just so happen to have on my table at the moment, waiting to be painted. You can kind of see a lot smaller, but the details are pretty similar. Even the stance is similar. Then we've got some Reaver Titans, if we can get this to focus. One day I'll get a proper camera to do this rather than a mobile phone. There we go. Not particularly brilliant focus there. Let me just see if I can get it to really focus on my hand a bit. A little bit better. Not brilliant though. Okay, sorry about that. Just had to get the camera to focus. Here we go. So a Reaver Titan. These are the smaller cousins of the Warlords. And you've got the 3 weapon mounts as opposed to the 4 on the Warlord. It's not too bad. Then we've got Iconoclast cruisers. Well, these are destroyers actually. And finally, the Repulse Grand Cruisers. Again, very nice detailing on these. Really impressed with the miniature quality. And here we've got our Chaos card, playing as the World Eaters, Chaos Space Marines. A pretty unpleasant bunch who worship the god of bloodletting and war, Khorne. You can see similar layout to the Space Marines. Note you've got more cultists but less heavy tanks for this faction. And something I neglected to show you with the Ultramarines faction is that these cards are actually double-sided. And on the back here you've got your initial forces. So at the start of each game, that's what you start off with. A little bit different to the Space Marines. And then you've got some fluff here for fans of 40k, including some descriptions of the objectives that you might be going after. Pretty nice touch. And again, we've got our event cards. Just trying to get it to focus there. Our event cards. Different once again. Our order token upgrades. Combat cards. So quick look at those. Again, quite nice. And the reference card. Okay, so those are the Forces of Chaos. Back in a minute with the Orcs. Okay, and here we go with the Orcs of the Evil Sons clan, which, if you know your Warhammer 40,000 lore, means that they are speed freaks. They love to go fast. But just noticing that that is actually a Orc from the Goth clan, I believe, looking at his attire. So, shame on you, Fantasy Flight, for not getting your lore right there. As you can see, we've got the Orc boys at the front here. 9 of them, similar to the cultists with the Chaos Space Marines. We've got 6 tokens representing Orc knobs. And we've got 3 of these rather superb looking battle wagons. Very orky, truck-like things. Would look at home in Mad Max, I think, wouldn't they? Look at that there. Again, just attention to detail, even with little rivets and such modelled on. And then we've got 3 of these Orc Gargants. These are roughly analogous to the Titans of the other races, but much lower tech, and in some ways more durable. in the lore, they are just giant walking scrap piles. I think these are onslaught attack ships, by the looks of them. Let me just check the card actually. Yes, there we go, onslaught attack ships. And they're the smaller orc vessels, look like piranhas or something, don't they? Very fish-like anyway, which is odd considering that orcs are basically fungus. It even tells you there, orc spores. They're basically giant mushrooms. And there are their kill cruisers, the larger orc vessels. Not too bad. Again, some really beautiful detailing on these. Back of the orc sheet, just show you the initial forces. So you get lots of orc boys, and not much else really. But you do start with a reinforcement token, which is important, I believe, in combat. There we go. There's their objectives. And a little bit of their lore there. And we've got the scheme cards, the event cards. Beautiful artwork, beautiful production values as usual. There's their order upgrades, etc. Notice they're gated according to how many cities you have. So you can't purchase the powerful ones to begin with. And then combat cards with various different effects on them. That's the Orcs. And come back once more for the Eldar. Okay, and here we are back with the Eldar from Craftworld Ianden. Beautiful picture of a Farseer there, looking awesome as ever. First thing you'll notice with the Eldar, they are very light on the ground forces. They've got 6 units of Aspect Warriors, and this could make up things like Howling Banshees, etc., Striking Scorpions, Dire Avengers. Then we've got 3 Wraith Guard, much, and then we've got 3 of these little Falcon Grav tanks here. Again, good detailing, quite hard to see unfortunately with this yellow plastic that they've used. And you'll note that we've got some warping on the Eldar units. If you look at this Grav tank here, you can see it's got pretty bad warp on the antennas there. And if you look at the Titans, these are Warlock Titans, you'll see that there's a lot of warp on these wings. Still, impressive models. These will be familiar to anybody who played the old Space Marine or Epic games, Titan Legions and the such. Bring back a lot of fond memories there, but the wings are really warped. So, as I mentioned, light on ground troops, but they do have a lot more spaceships. So, these little Hellebore frigates, there's little wings on them, nose cannons a little bit warped. But I'm guessing that these guys are supposed to play in a hit and fade style. And here we have the big capital ship, the Void Stalker. Anybody who played Battlefleet Gothic and had to go up against one of these things will know that there could be a royal pain in the neck in the hands of a competent Eldar player. Okay. Again, just gorgeous details on them. Lots and lots of detail. I'm very impressed with the plastics, especially the recent ones out of Fancy Flight. There you go with the scheme cards. Again, things like warp gates, vicious raids, outmaneuver, all suggesting that the Eldar should be played fast and not walk them down. There's the upgrades, and again, Striking Scorpions, different combat cards. Looking pretty good, gorgeous artwork, and their reference card. And those are the 4 races. So, I'll just show you quickly the back of this before I forget. Okay, bit of fluff there. And the initial forces, not too bad, not too bad. So, all looks rather good. I'll give you a quick look at the map tiles and then we shall call it a day, I think. Okay, and just a final look at some of the tiles that you get with the game. These are the 4 faction home base tiles. As you can see, if you have a look at the Eldar one here, we've got different things going on. We've got planets, as it were, and then we've got voids, which is where other ships can go. Planets are where your foot troops, etc. will go. In the middle, you have a space for an order token. If we flip it over, see the configuration is slightly different, as are the worlds. You'll notice they've got these banners across the bottom here, and the green bit dictates how much material you're given each turn by that tile. The skulls represent how many troops it can produce a turn, if it's got the necessary factories, etc. And then it's got 2 special tokens that you can get through one of the orders in the game. So that's the Eldar one. If you have a look at Chaos, you can see they've got the home worlds, some interesting worlds going on here, has to be said. Different on each side, which is nice. And these are really good quality. I mean, you can see how thick these are. Good couple of millimeters. Here's the Orc one. Lots of planets on that side. And again, same on this side. Looks like some Forge worlds. But just gorgeous, gorgeous artwork and detailing. And you'll notice that each token has one of these sort of little, 2 of these squares, these rectangles on them with the notches. Those are for objective tokens, which you have to capture. Each player will have a number of objectives equal to the number of players in the game. So if you're playing a 2-player game, each player will have 2 objectives to capture to win. If you're playing a 4-player game, 4 objectives, 3-player game, 3 objectives, so on and so forth. This is just a standard tile here just to show that the orders can be blank if it's not a homeworld tile. And there you go. That is everything you get with the game. And I have to say, I'm impressed. I'm looking forward to getting this to the table. Really looking forward to it. I'm hoping to get a game in tonight, actually, if I can. Just this up. Big old stack of plastics. Love that. Heard lots of good things about this one. It's generating a lot of good buzz on the net. So, there we go. Hope you've enjoyed what you've seen. If you've got any comments, feel free to leave them underneath the video. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And I shall see you again next time. Bye bye for now.